Hello. Okay. So yeah. So this is the third part of the lecture series that we are going to. So in the past two lectures, we have seen the flow equation. We started our discussion on derivation of flow equation, and we have seen the governing equations related with the flow. And we are interested in actually the like one-dimensional derivation of say one-dimensional equation of conservation of mass and momentum. So basically, we are interested in center invariant equations derivation of this one from the Navier-Stokes equation. So in the last class, actually, we were seeing the derivation of this Navier-Stokes equation for fluid flow for incompressible Newtonian fluid that we were seeing. So this is a mass continuity, and this is your momentum equation in 3 dimension. Okay, and we have seen some of the assumptions, how we are trying to approximate, because solving these equations will be very computationally expensive. So we want to approximate, we want to make some assumptions, and based on that, we want to simplify, and so that model can be used, one-dimensional model can be used to solve our day-to-day need problems. Okay, so basically we are thinking in the only one-dimensional flow. Basically, most prominent flow which is happening in the longitudinal direction. So we are the effect of lateral and transverse flow right now. We are not actually considering. Okay, and then some assumptions we are thinking. So assumptions are the flow is one-dimensional. Channel bottom slope is actually smaller. Channel bottom is actually stable and it's not eroding away. And the elevation is not changing with respect to the time. That is another assumption. And the flow conditions actually gradually varied flow, so that the hydrostatic pressure distribution prevails and the vertical acceleration can be neglected. That is our assumption. Another assumption is actually we can use Manning's coefficient in our calculation. Whatever the general resistance factor that we are using in the steady uniform flow, that can also be try to make use of them in unsteady and non-uniform flow applications. Okay, so we have seen this profile. So this is a typical channel, stream channel, and these are the various terms that we have seen. Q is actually the rate of input, and Q plus dq by dx into dx is actually the quantity that is leaving from this control volume. Okay, there is a lateral input to this control volume that is denoted by Q, that is per unit length, per unit of this length, and infiltration is also removing the moisture. This Q is actually adding the moisture, and QIB is actually infiltration, that is removing the moisture from the control volume. Okay, so with that, actually, we have started this discussion, and we have basically described the Reynolds transport theorem, in which actually we are interested in that, where we are saying that total rate of any quantity B is capital B. We have used expression to denote the extensive property. For example, mass volume, which is actually dependent on the amount, whereas the intensive property denoted by smaller b, which is actually uh, depends on the substance types of substance. Okay, so what we are saying that whatever the rate of change in the quantity that is happening, rate of change of stored volume, rate of change of this mass, which is happening inside the control volume, inside this control volume, will be plus quantity of the substance, quantity of the fluid, or quantity of the fluid that is leaving, net quantity, net outflow, outward flow of quantity B across this control surface. This will be equal to total rate of B that is stored into the system. This is material derivative. Okay. Or we can say that rate of increase in the quantity inside the control volume, this expression is equal to storage plus net outflow. This is your influx minus outflux, net outflow of B across the surface. Okay. Yeah. So with that, actually, we are like in continuity equations. This so whatever that is. So we have described this Reynolds transport theorem in the form of continuity equation by simplifying this one. This expression. So total mass in the system is always constant. So the left hand side of this equation that we have seen before, the total rate of liquid change in that total storage will be equal to 0. Um, Okay, so this is rate of change of quantity, rate of change of mass inside the control volume, which is equal to the quantity net mass inflow and outflow from the control surface. of the control volume. Okay, so this is the same thing. The rate of change of mass is equal to in mass inflow minus mass outflow. Okay, and then based on that, actually we have simplified the equation and we have got the one-dimensional equation. If you are assuming that the rho is not changing with respect to time, means density is a constant throughout, and dx also we have effect of this dx also we have cancelled, and we have simplified this equation. This equation will appear in this form, which is actually contained equation, one-dimensional equation that denotes the flow mass continuity. This is a Saint-Laurent equation, mass conservation. Okay, and then so this is a Reynolds expression for Reynolds transpose theorem. So on the left side, we can say this quantity will be equal to the rate of change of quantity. So if you assume that B system is nothing but your rate of change of momentum, then we can say that this rate of change of momentum based on the Navier equation is equal to sum of the forces. So sum of the forces applicable on it will be equal to this quantity, rate of change of mass inside this control volume plus rate of change of mass, net rate of change of exchange that is taking place, net outward flow from that control surface. Okay, so after that we started discussing on this some of the forces. What are different forces that may act? One is the gravity force. Gravity force that is acting along the channel due to the weight of the water. Then gravity force along the channel due to the weight of the water. Pressure force which is acting pressure force which is acting which because of the pressure. This is FPL, FPR, FPB. On the left hand side, this pressure force. On the right hand side, this is another pressure force, and this is a pressure force which is acting on the bank. And then we have the friction forces, which is acting on the cross section, which is acting on the bottom and the sides of the channel. That is denoted by FF. Then the contraction and expansion force due to abrupt change in the channel cross section. Sudden contraction, sudden expansion, all these things are actually resulting into the contraction expansion force that is denoted by Fe, and wind shear force that is denoted by Fw. So sum of all the forces are actually sum of all these quantities. And then we try to find out the value of each of this value. Fg is can we find out using this expression? Fg is equal to rho g a dx sine theta. We are approximated at this theta. This bed slope is actually very small, so it can be approximated as a tan theta, and value of tan theta is nothing but s naught. So the expression for Fg is equal to rho g a dx s naught. Similarly, Fe is actually pressure force, which is acting on the left hand side, right hand side, and the bank. Okay, so total FP is combination of pressure force which is acting hydrostatic hydrostatic force on the left hand side of the control volume, hydrostatic pressure force which is acting on the right hand side of the control volume, and pressure force which is acting on the banks of this control volume. Okay, so FP is equal to FPL minus FPR plus FPB. Okay, so first we started with the FPL. So for to calculate FPL, we have selected one cross section here, and we have considered a smaller strip of cross section B by very smaller with DW, which is actually located at Y minus W depth below the water surface. Total depth of the water is actually Y. Depth of the datum from this strip is actually W, and this is actually Y minus W. Okay, so using the same simple hydrostatic expression, we can write the force is equal to, or we can say the pressure is equal to rho g h. Okay, so this is actually a rho g h, rho g multiplied by h. H is actually, this is a weight of column which is actually being supported at this depth. So depth is actually your y minus w multiplied by rho g. That is your rho g h multiplied by the cross sectional area. That will give the value of that incremental hydrostatic pressure force which is acting on the left of the control volume at a depth y minus w. To calculate it throughout the depth, you have to integrate from limit 0 to y. Okay, so you integrate this with 0 to y, we'll get the total quantity of hydrostatic force which is acting on the left hand side of the control volume. Okay, so similarly on the right hand side of the to arrive at the right hand side of this quantity, we have used the Taylor expansion till the first term, first derivative. So Taylor expansion will be whatever the term FPL plus FPR, that is actually the hydrostatic pressure force which is acting on the right hand side of the control volume, is equal to FPL plus first order derivative of this FPL with respect to x. Remember, we are talking about only one direction, one dimensional for dx, df by dx into dx. So this one. Okay, this is the expression of FPR. Okay. Now, in order to simplify this expression, so we are interested in to finding out the value of this dfpl by dx. So in order to find that value, we are using the making use of Leibniz rule in the differentiation. So dfpl is actually this quantity that we have just calculated here before. So dfpl by dx means we have to use Leibniz rule here. So Leibniz rule states like the derivative of first order derivative of this term. This is our function fpl. Okay, first order derivative is given by this df by dx dt plus dvx, that is that upper limit, f of vx into v dash x, first order derivative of this upper limit, minus f of lower limit ux into derivative of first order derivative of lower limit. The same is when is applied here. So this is our function. When we are applying it here, so we'll be getting this value. So when you substitute this value here, when you substitute, okay, so if you substitute this value here, so this vx is actually here, or we are varying from 0 to y, so vx is y, so y minus y, this will turn goes to 0. This also can be, so these two terms can be neglected, so we will be only left with this term. So d of pl by dx will be given by this expression. So again, we are actually expanding this using the multiplication rule. Okay, so d of pl by dx is equal to rho g dy by dx into bdw plus integration over 0 to y rho g into y minus w into dv by dx dw. Okay, and then yeah. So here also in this expression BDW, when you are talking about BW, this is equal to, if we write 0 to y integration over 0 to y BDW, this will be equal to your area. Okay, so okay, so that if we substitute, we will get the value of dfpl by dx. Okay, similar to that. So right now we have got these two values. Now the DFPB, this also can be calculated. So DFP is actually the pressure force which is actually acting on the bank because of the on the control the pressure force is exerted by the banks on the control volume. Okay, so pressure force exerted by the banks on the control volume, which is actually related with, again, with the width of the channel. So like we can see the here width is B1, here is width B2. Okay, so so in terms of so we have to write in terms of dxels. So fpb is equal to 0 to integration or 0 to y rho g y minus, so this cross section only we are again talking, integration of rho g y minus w. So this is your rho g h multiplied by this quantity b by dx into dx into whole this multiplied by dx, because we are talking about this entire length of this bank. Okay. Okay. So with that, actually now we have the three quantities here. In order to calculate FP is given by this FPL minus FPR plus FPB. FP is equal to FPL minus FPR plus FPB. Okay. So FPL we got, FPR we got, FPB we got. So we substitute here. Okay. So we have substituted here. So FPL will get cancelled, and we will be left with these two quantity. Okay, so DFPL we have just found out this value, so that is this value, and this is another value. Okay, so again here also you can say this thing, these two quantity can be cancelled out, and this dx into this quantity rho g dy by dx into adx, that will be left. That is actually your net pressure force which is acting on the control volume. Similarly, we have the frictional forces which are actually acting on the cross section, means perimeter, because of the rough surface, which is acting along the bottom and the sides of the control volume. So this bed shear stress, which is denoted by tau, we have to multiply with the area, that is P into dx. P is actually weighted parameter, dx is the length. So that will result, that will be that we can write in terms of this one, like shear stress force. Okay, so similarly, everywhere the depth is not same, so we have to use the expression of whereas there is a loss, head loss is also there. So we have to accommodate that R into SF, where R is actually your hydraulic radius, SF is actually your energy line slope. So that value we have to accommodate. So we have to adjust this value, depth value here. Okay, so R is given by A by P. So this P and this P will get cancelled. So final expression will be like this. FF is equal to minus rho g ASF dx, where SF is actually a friction slope, which is given by this expression. Fe is actually because of sudden expansion and contraction, which is results into the change in velocity head, which is given by v square by 2g. V can be written in the form of q by a. So this is actually how the velocity head is changing with respect to the x. So dv square dv square by 2g by dx. So or we can write dq by a square by dx, and this we can take out. So this is actually proportional to that. So proportionality constant here is a non-expansion or contraction coefficient KEC. So this factor we have to substitute here in terms of SE. So that will get the value of FE process. So rho G ASE dx. Similarly, wind shear, because of the wind that are flowing when they are interacting with the upper water surface, there will be shear stress associated with that. So then if the flow velocity is V here, let's say if the flow velocity is v here, that is written by q by, and wind directions are in this direction, so flow velocity will be getting affected because of this vw. So the vr is actually your that velocity velocity of fluid related to the boundary. So that we have to take care. So vr is given by actual fluid velocity q by a minus how this component of velocity of wind component of this velocity of wind in the direction of the flow q by a, that is given by vw cos omega. Okay, and q by a minus vw cos omega is your vr. So that can be used here. So cf vr by absolute value of vr by 2, that is like v square by 2, something like that. So wf is actually that factor multiplied by minus rho. It will give you the wind shear stress. Okay, and this value when we are actually substituting here, we'll get the force associated with that. So wind shear force is equal to minus rho wf b dx. So why b dx? Because this is the area. Okay, so b, because we are talking about capital B, because we are talking about the top width, and dx is actually your length of flow. So now we have found out this fg, fp, fe, fl, ff, and fw. Now substitute the value of all these f forces, and this will be your expression. Okay, so now so this is the expression. Okay, so now we have calculated the sum of these forces. So right hand side, left hand side we have estimated. Now we are concentrating on left hand side. Okay, so the two terms on the right hand side of this equation represent the rate of. So the first term represent the rate of change of momentum in the control volume. So rate of change of momentum inside this control volume, and the net outflow of momentum across the channel surface. This is control surface, across the control surface. So velocity of v in a direction along the direction perpendicular to the controls, normal to the uh, control surface. That is actually direction of unit vector n. Okay, so this quantity. So this quantity net momentum outflow means inflow minus outflow. Net momentum outflow is a sum of momentum outflow minus momentum inflow to the control volume. And the mass, the first quantity, the mass inflow rate, means we are talking about this quantity right now, means outflow minus inflow. So the mass inflow rate to the control volume can be say that the by like you can say that this q means rho into in bracket q plus this q that is being added along all this line, q into dx. Okay, so the mass inflow rate to the control volume is the sum of both stream inflow q plus lateral inflow. Um, this is because per unit length, so we have to multiply with the length x dx. Okay, this is the inflow, Similarly, so the mass inflow to the control volume is computed. So this is actually, so this expression, if you want to write for inlet, so this is that expression. So this is actually your rho v into dot product of v dot n into dA. So that is actually, this is for inflow, inlet. And similarly for outlet also we have to calculate, and then we have to take a difference to get this expression. So for inlet, if you want to write this expression, so this expression only we have to multiply with the beta. Okay, so first here we are using a v as well because we are talking about the momentum. Here beta is actually the correction factor, momentum correction factor, which is actually the ratio, because here we are talking about the average velocity. Whatever the calculations, this expression we are talking about the average velocity. So beta is actually the ratio of momentum per second based on the actual velocity divided by momentum per second based on the average velocity. We will be discussing that in the next slide, how to estimate beta. Okay, so this beta is actually momentum correction factor that is required, that has to be put it here and multiplied with the v. We have substituted here, where vx is actually your the average velocity of the lateral flow. Okay, so so basically, in order to get actual quantity, we are multiplying with the beta. This quantity, this denominator, we are multiplying with the beta, momentum per second based on the average velocity. So this is momentum per second based on the average velocity multiplied by the beta to get the actual value. Similarly, this is the average velocity of lateral inflow multiplied by beta. Will get the this two quantity this qvx will give us the momentum per second based on the actual lateral inflow. Okay, so similarly, so this beta, as I said, it can be calculated like this. Beta is equal to 1 upon v square by a, where capital V denotes the average velocity, uh, integration over that inlet, v square by dA, where v is actually the velocity of fluid in a small elemental area dA. If you assume very smaller elemental area and you integrate it over in this entire surface. Okay, so that is actually your beta value. So this beta value momentum coefficient ranges from 1.01 for straight prismatic channel and 1.33 for floodplains, valleys with the floodplains. Similarly, so right now we have just got the value for inlet. Similarly, we calculate the value of outlet. So we use in the value of outlet, we have to, so value of outlet, how to write value of outlet. So this is inlet was q plus q, smaller q plus q dx. Outlet will be q plus dq by dx into dx, and we have to multiply with the beta here as well. And if you are interested in momentum, you have to multiply with the v as well. Okay, so this is a quantity for outlet. So rho into bvq plus d beta vq by dx into dx. So net momentum outflow will be outlet minus inlet. So this quantity will be equal to outlet minus this inlet. Okay, so substituting this value, we'll get the value of this net momentum of outflow across the control surface minus rho bv beta vxq in minus del beta vq by del x into dx. Okay, so now we have just calculated this term. Now we are focusing on this term. So that term denotes the time rate of change of momentum stored inside the control volume. Rate of change of momentum inside the control volume. So again, this can be calculated. We can estimate as a function of elemental change channel length dx. Okay, so channel length dx, momentum associated with this elemental volume can be written as like rho v a into dx. So this is a volume operator. So a times dx. Okay, or we can say this v into a is nothing but the q. So rho q dx. Okay, so we can say rho. This expression rho d rho by dt. Sorry, d by dt of this integration of this term rho v and this volume we are writing in this way. So av we are writing the q. you can write it as dq by dt to dx. Okay, so this expression we are writing rho into dq by dt into dx. Okay, so now we have got the value of this one, and sum of all the forces also we have got. So now we are substituting the value. Substituting the value of left hand side means sum of all the forces. These are all the forces: gravity force, this is your pressure force, this is your frictional force, this is your expansion contraction force, this is your wind shear force. Sum of all forces will be equal to time rate of change of momentum, inside the control volume, plus net outward out net outflow across the control surface, and that is given by this one. Sorry, this is your control net rate. This is your this term, time rate of change of momentum stored in control volume, and this is your net this quantity, net momentum outflow across the control surface. Okay, so this is your force, this is this quantity. Okay, so this is your net outward net outflow, net momentum outflow, and this is the time rate of change of momentum stored in control volume, and this is the sum of all the total forces. Okay. So this is now our equation. The equation, we can simplify this equation by rearranging the various terms here. So by we first will divide that equation by rho dx, and v will be replaced with the q by a. So wherever rho dx is there, that we are trying to get rid of rho dx. So rho dx will try to get rid of. And v we are writing in terms of q by a. Wherever v we have, so here we are having v. So we'll be writing q by a. So we also have this q here. So it will become q square by a. Okay. So once we do this, we'll arrive at this form. And also, okay, one more thing. So now rho dx we have get rid of. So we'll be simply left with this SF S naught. Sorry, S naught, SF, SE, and this term here. So let's see in the next slides. Okay, so this is what we are left with now: dq by dt. Sorry, del q by del t plus del q square beta by a, or beta q square a, beta q square by a by dx plus ga dy by dx minus s naught sf se. This is your channel bottom slope. This is your energy line slope, friction slope, and this is your this one, the coefficient associated with the expansion, and this one. Okay, so this is the term. Now here, why we can write, so we know this total hydraulic head, we can written y plus z, where y is actually depth of flow, z is actually the elevation above the datum. Okay, so this we can write dh by dx is equal to dy by dx plus dz by dx. So dy by dx, if you want to substitute, it will be dh by dx minus dz by dx. Okay, so this value will substitute here in this equation. So dh by dx is equal to yeah, so this quantity. So let's say this dz by dx mean what? So if you see this expression, this figure, let's say, let me open this figure. Okay, yeah, this figure. Yeah, so here what does dz by dx? So this is your dz by dx, that denotes s naught. Okay, so substituting the value of dz by dx is equal to s naught in that equation here. Okay, so this will be s naught. So dy by dx is equal to dh by dx minus this s naught. Okay, so now we substitute that value here. Um, so like this value of dh by dx will substitute here, dy by dx minus s naught. This value is equal to dh by dx. So if you substitute instead of this, so what we are doing actually, so this we have just got, this will be equal to del h by del x. This we have just got this value. Substituting that will make our equation look like this. So this is your momentum equation. This is a one continuity equation, mass continuity equation that we have got derived earlier, and this is now our second momentum equation that denotes the one-dimensional flow, one-dimensional unsteady flow in open channel, uh, which is actually like form of Central equation. This is Central equation. So this is a continuity and momentum equation. Okay. Now, as I said, this is for unsteady state. So if it is a steady state, then means the property of the fluid and the cross section is not changing with respect to time. So this is actually, this term will go zero. This term will also we have to neglect. So in steady state, only this part will be there. dq by dx minus q is equal to 0, and remaining this part will be there in case of momentum equation. Okay. So this is under steady state assumption. Central equations are simplified like this. Okay. Yeah. So we can so we have derived a generalized form of this equation. So based on our need, we can have different form of this equation. So if you are talking about the kinematic wave equation, so in the kinematic wave equation, so this will be equal to g s minus s naught is equal to 0. So is equal to 0. This is diffusion wave equation. This is dynamic wave equation. Various types of equation. So basically, we have various options in front of us, mathematical models in surface irrigation. There are various models in front of us. Fully hydrodynamic, that includes the Saint-Laurent equation of conservation of mass and momentum in its general form. And these are the special cases, zero inertia. So when Saint-Laurent equation that leaves out the acceleration and inertia terms in the momentum equation, then the expression will be dy by dx is equal to s naught minus sf in the momentum equation. That is zero inertia equation. Similarly, kinematic wave equation, under uniform flow assumption, we will be having s naught minus f is equal to 0 under the momentum equation. And volume balance actually simply numerical solution of temporally spatially lumped mass conservation. This quantity of mass entering, leaving, like that, we are doing the mass balance, the volume balance. So various options are available in front of us. But this is actually the more general form of Saint-Laurent equation. It's our choice whether we have how to use this equation in our day-to-day life, in our irrigation practices. So with that, we'll conclude this lecture for today. So in the today's lecture, we have derived the one-dimensional Saint-Laurent equations, set of Saint-Laurent equations which represent the continuity and the momentum equations for a one-dimensional unsteady flow as a generalized case. And we to make derivation, we make use of the Navier-Stokes equations and the Reynolds transfer theorem. Okay, so with that, we'll stop here for today. If you have any question, you just you are free to ask right now, or you can drop me an email or drop me a message on our team uh, uh, team classroom. Okay, so with that, I'll thank. So we'll conclude this chapter for today. Thank you.